Hey, how's everyone doing? This is UV Zoomy or Supercoder. Um, I made a phone book application that uses MERN stack or MongoDB Express, React, and Node.js, and it's nothing too crazy. It's not the prettiest app in the world, but the functionality I think is pretty good. So I just want to kind of give you a demo of the application. So if I go here, I can through filter I can see where I can search up people with their current phone numbers. So as you can see here, Uvaldo pops up as the first one, and then Yuli. But if I put an L, Uvaldo goes away and Yuli remains because it filters out to the most specific user. See if I got anyone else. So I believe that's the only individuals I have right now. So I'm going to add a new person named Adam, and I'm just going to type in random numbers. If I add this person, I get a thing that says you have successfully added Adam to the phone book. Change the filter to show him or her. So now I'll go up here. I just type in the letter A, and as you can see, Uvaldo has a letter A, so he's going to pop up, and Adam also has a letter A. But if I type in D, Adam remains. I'm going to go ahead and add some more people to this phone book. Just random numbers. So I add this person in Caitlin, same thing. You got a filter to show this person now. So I put K, there she is. So I'm using MongoDB, as I said earlier. And for each individual, it gives them a unique ID. It doesn't increment with 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. It just gives a randomized ID using object ID by Mongo. And I can show you that in the code here in a minute. So I just added Adam and Caitlin. So if I refresh right here, you'll be able to see that they're added to the collection or the database. And I scroll down, here's Adam right here with his phone number, and here's Caitlin with her phone number. So object ID, what it does with Mongoose is basically it generates like this pretty long, lengthy ID for each individual. So if I go back to the phone book, I can, for example, type in the letter U, and I just want to show y'all before I do this. I want to show y'all something. So if I add a person named David, if I try to add this person, and I need to have at least 8 characters for the phone number. Say if I just try to do like 07, I should be getting an error. I should be getting this console up here. I'll have to fix that here in a minute. But basically it says user's phone number must contain 2 to 3 numbers before the hyphen. So it's not going to add this person David until I at least have 2 to 3 numbers before a hyphen, or I have at least 8 characters. So I have neither, so it's not going to add David to the phone book. As you can see, David's not added. But if I do add at least 2 numbers before the hyphen, then I go on with these other numbers, 3, 4, 3, and this is not at least 8 characters long, so it should be giving me an error message either in the console or up here. So I'll go ahead and add. For some reason I'm gonna have to fix that, so forgive me for that. So if I go back here, I want to change Uvaldo's phone number. I'm going to change it to something else, random. I'm going to hit add. It's going to give me this little pop-up message saying, Uvaldo is added to the phone book, but do you want to replace the old number with a new one? I'm going to say yes or okay. And it's up here, it says successfully updated Uvaldo's number. And as you can see down here, it updated the phone number, which is pretty cool. And now if I go to the database, the previous phone number for Uvaldo was this number right here. But if I refresh, you'll be able to see that it's now updated to this guy right here. And as you can see, the database has updated the phone number. So I can also delete people from the database. So if I delete Uvaldo, it says, do you want to delete Uvaldo? I'll say yes or okay. It says you have successfully deleted Uvaldo from the list. And as you can see, that person's phone number disappeared. Obviously in the database, you see Uvaldo right here, but if I refresh, Uvaldo is no longer in the database. So that's just some little cool functionality with this phone book. Obviously, as you can see in the console, there's some errors I need to go back and fix, but they're small errors, right? Nothing too big. And I also console logged out the person's unique ID, so when they're deleted or added. So now we can check out the code a little bit. So the app.js for the front end looks like this. It's kind of hectic, not too bad. But starting up here, I have use state, and specifically I have use state for each person, or for all the persons in the database. Down here I have it two use effects. One is for the error message that pops up on top of the screen. So when it pops up, I have a set timeout, so where it only stays up there for at least 5 seconds, and then that error message goes to null. And so the error message will go away after 5 seconds, as you saw previously. Down here, I have it to where with each update to a phone number, or each person that we add or update or delete, this counter right here, I add a counter to where it's updated or deleted. And whenever that counter is updated, like with a +1, it'll get all the new phone numbers from the database. So that's pretty cool. So going down here, this is basically my return statement. I have 3 different components that I call to within the return statement. The first one is the filter component. And if I go to the filter component, it's just, as you saw on the web page, I'll show you again, filter shown with. I go here, it says filter shown with. The inputs value is the filter, or whatever we're inputting at that current moment. And on change, we're going to handle filter, and handle filter is right here. We set the filter to whatever's being typed in with event, or the letter E, and then I say .target.value, so it gets that current value of the event. And then I create a constant called all names, and it maps through each person basically, and returns an array of each person's name. And then I set this filter checker that basically filters through each name. This is basically what's checking basically for the filter, and what is going in as input for the filter. So it's to keep everything consistent. You can type all uppercases, for example, in the little filter, but in the back end, or in the front end, right, or in the code, it's going to lowercase whatever you type in. And you obviously you can't see that, but it does this so we can, there's no like case sensitivity or anything like that, which is pretty dope. So then going down here is the person form component that I call to, and if I pull that up real quick, the person form contains the name and the number. So if I show you real quick, the name and number right here. So if you want to add a new person, this is the person form component. You have the name that you can input, and then the phone number. And then on change, meaning when you type in this input, on change is going to set the new name with the value you're currently typing. And for the phone number, it's going to set a new number with the value you're currently typing. And then the last component is display. Now this is the one I struggle with the most to implement, but I think I got pretty much most of it down. So if I go to display, you can see that it basically pushes, and find names, it pushes if the copy of the whole person's array includes whatever is being typed in that filter search bar, it's going to push that current name into find names. And then that's how when you see me type in names, you see each person cascading. So if I type in the letter U, you saw Uvaldo pop up, then Yuli. But if I typed in like D for David, you saw David pop up. And that's how this is being run through the find names and find numbers. And I have this return statement down here for the component. As you can see, it maps through each person within the find names array. And right here, it throws in that person's name and their phone number by the index. And this letter I is coming from over here for the index. So in a map method, you can call the specific like object or specific instance or element of an array or something like that. And then the second argument or parameter is the index. So I put a letter I for index. And I said basically for each person, I wanted you to also throw in a button right here that has the delete function, and it says delete right here. And if someone clicks this button, I said on click, I want you to handle this delete functionality. So we got a function up here that says handle delete. So it's basically gonna say, hey, do you wanna delete this person, question mark? And if you hit okay, that's basically saying, that's basically throwing like a true value. So if that true value is hit, it's gonna execute all this code right here. And basically I'm saying, hey, here's the new array of people. We're gonna filter through. We want a new array of people without the person that we requested to delete. And we have a remove person variable. And we said, hey, we filtered through this array. And we wanna make sure that this array for this remove person is only specifically to that person that we removed. Then we got a new array of names variable, and it basically equals each person within this new array of people and their names. I set the filter checker to the new array of names. So basically this new array of names consists of every single person except the one that we're deleting. And I set persons to a new array of people, which basically is the same thing with the new array of names. Right here I was console logging just to test out the functionality behind my remove function. So if I remove a person, so now I have some backend code right here that basically removes a person through a delete request through Axios. So Axios.delete, I think it's delete, yeah. And it removes this person, and I'm by their ID, so I'm throwing in their ID. So if we go to, I believe it is, yeah, here it is. So @.delete. So if I want to delete a specific person, I'm deleting by their ID. And I go down here, I say user. I want you, and basically right here I'm saying within the database, I want you to find this user with this specific ID that I threw in. And I did a wait method right here so I can wait for this promise to be fulfilled. And I said, okay, within this person database, I want you to find one and remove a person with a specific ID. And their ID is basically an object ID. An object ID is unique to Mongoose. And I can go further into that in a later video. But basically, I can pull it up right here. So this is the object ID. So there's an ID that we create right here. And I use the object ID from Mongoose to create this ID for each specific person. And then there's an ID that's already set by Mongo. And it's basically object ID, and then it has a value inside of it. So these two are mandatory, are already created by MongoDB when I create a user. And you can have those removed, which I can cover in a later video. But going back to the code, once I remove the person, I give a status of 204, and I basically end it. Or if there's an error, I pass this error into this next method, and this next method passes it to error handler, and it goes further into that. But yeah, that's pretty much it on the code. I mean, there's more to cover. And if y'all are interested, I can create this project from scratch. So even though I already created the project, I can do a step-by-step creation of this project and start all over. So we can go step-by-step together if y'all want me to. Let me know in the comments below if y'all want me to do that. But yeah, this is basically the overall functionality behind it. And the cool thing about the front end is I'm actually not running the code, as you can see right here. I'm actually running a production build behind the scenes. So in this build folder, there's they call it like a memified file. So it basically takes all the front end code and basically slaps it into one line of code and passes it to the back end. So basically the back end is running the back end code and the front end code all together. And it's running it all at one URL. Like basically one localhost, so localhost 3000, and then all the tabs with it, like /API/persons or something like that. That's a cool functionality that I learned in this course that I'm currently taking. Is if I run npm run build it makes this production build of the front end, and then I copy this build that I just made to the backend folder. And in the backend folder, it basically, as you can see up here where I'm clicking, it takes this build and I believe it throws it into right here. So it's, as you can see here in this JS folder, so you go to build, static, and then JS. These are all the different builds I have thrown into this one project. As you can see, these are basically all the edits I've made while going through this project, and that's a lot of edits, as you can tell. But basically, all the front-end code is held within this JS folder in the backend, and the backend is basically running everything. And as you can see here in the backend, if I did an npm start, I basically start MongoDB, and it console logs through, I believe, Morgan. Yeah, so Morgan basically console logs all the requests, like get requests, post requests, delete requests, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's my little Phonebook application. It's not, obviously pretty, but I got some of the functionality down. I gotta fix some errors before I continue. But yeah, that's basically the Phonebook application, the little MERN stack that I've accomplished. So if you would like to see further videos about this, if you want me to start from scratch on this project and we can go through this Phonebook application step by step, let me know in the comments below and I will start working on that series. All right, guys, peace.